Swami Vivekananda, the great philosopher of life. One of the greatest spiritual leaders of India, Swami Vivekananda is credited with bringing the glory of the Hindu philosophy to the global platform. Swami Vivekananda said, "All power is within you, you can do anything and everything. Believe in that, do not believe that you are weak, do not believe that you are half-crazy lunatics, as most of us do nowadays. You can do anything and everything, without even the guidance of anyone. Stand up and express the divinity within you." One of the greatest spiritual leaders of India, Swami Vivekananda is credited with bringing the glory of the Hindu philosophy to the global platform. Born on January 12, 1863, as Narendra Nath Dutta in Kolkata into an aristocratic Bengali Kayastha family, he became a disciple of the famed saint of Dakshineshwar, Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He renounced worldly pleasures and became a sannyasi, not to roam aimlessly, but for the service of humanity. The patron saint of India, Swami Vivekananda, is respected throughout the world as a spiritual genius. His father was a famous lawyer and his mother was an aristocratic woman. It was she who introduced Narendranath to the Hindu religion with stories of the Mahabharata and Ramayana. As a result, he was deeply religious and was always searching for someone who had seen God. Born into an upper-middle-class family of the Kayastha, scribes, caste in Bengal, he was educated at a Western-style university where he was exposed to Western philosophy, Christianity, and science. Social reform became a prominent element of Vivekananda's thought, and he joined the Brahmo Samaj, Society of Brahma, dedicated to eliminating child marriage and illiteracy and determined to spread education among women and the lower castes. As a boy, he was very energetic and spirited. He was also excellent at sports and a brilliant student. He loved reading and read everything he could get his hands on, and managed to retain everything he read as well. He was never content to believe everything he was told, instead he would demand proof that it was true. It was while he was studying in college that his professor, seeing his curiosity about God, suggested that he go meet the saint, Sri Ramakrishna, at the Dakshineshwar temple. He set off at once and finally found a holy who had seen God and who promised to show him a way to see him as well. Sri Ramakrishna, with his enormous knowledge and simplicity, won Narendranath and soon became his teacher and master. Narendra learnt about the true spirit of the Vedantic literature. Thus was born Swami Vivekananda. He gave up all worldly pleasures and started to lead the life of a monk. He later became the most notable disciple of Ramakrishna, who demonstrated the essential unity of all religions. After 5 years of training, Sri Ramakrishna passed away. But before dying, Sri Ramakrishna named Vivekananda the leader of all of his disciples. Vivekananda started a monastery where he and his disciples carried on their spiritual practices. They also spent a lot of time traveling and spreading their teachings. Vivekananda spent years wandering around different parts of India. He soon got the opportunity to represent Indian religions at the World's Parliament Religions held in Chicago. He was India's first cultural and spiritual ambassador representative. Vivekananda wanted to create bridge between the East and West. While India would gift America its ancient spirituality, it latter would lend Indians its scientific and industrial outlook. Swami Vivekananda was a key figure for introducing the Indian Vedanta and philosophies of yoga to the world, which put India on the world's spiritual map. It was his famous speech at the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago, 1893, that forever changed the way the world looked at India. His speeches at the conference met instant success. His message, unity of mankind, harmony of religions, became extreme popular and was declared to be the heart and soul of the entire conference. He impressed listeners so much that he was invited to give several speeches in Chicago, eastern United States, as well as Europe. Wherever he went, he spread his massed klings and inspired people greatly. His message was that each soul is divine and the goal of life is for each of us to realize that divinity for ourselves. So instead of trying to look God in temples, books or scriptures, worship God in each human face. His method of teaching was unique. He took out the scientific truths from the Upanishads and Vedas and put a stop to all those who said that religion was unscientific. The old philosophy of Vedanta was given a new form that suited modern scientific thinking. For 3 years he traveled in America and England, spreading Vedanta philosophy and religious teachings. On his return to India with a small group of Western disciples in 1897, Vivekananda founded the Ramakrishna mission at the monastery of Belur Math on the Ganges, Ganga, river near Calcutta, now Kolkata. Self-perfection and service were his ideals, and the order continued to stress them. He adapted and made relevant to the 20th century the very highest ideals of the Vedantic religion, and, although he lived only 2 years into that century, he left the mark of his personality on East and West alike. In 1900, he returned to India and was given a hearty welcome. He now came to be known as the patron saint, and his birthday was declared a national holiday by the government. Realizing that along with recognizing your own divinity, you should also recognize it in others, he decided to spend his life in the service of man. He and his disciples helped the poor and uneducated, and thus he formed the Ramakrishna Math and mission. The purpose of the mission was to eliminate the suffering of the poverty-struck people of India. More than 1,000 monks from the mission serve people all over the world. In the West, the work mainly involves organizing worship, teaching, writing, and lecturing. In India, the mission is known for its charitable activities, running hospitals and schools, rural development, and relief work in times of emergency. The core of the mission is the spirit of service of God and man, meaning that serving people is a way of worshiping God. Often known as Ramakrishna or Vivekananda centers, the mission has centers in many of the American cities: New York, Boston, Providence, Chicago, St. Louis, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Berkeley, Sacramento, and Hollywood. Once again, Swami Vivekananda returned to America to teach for a short period. After a series of lectures and writings, he came back to the India. On the 4th of July 1902, he breathed of his last at his monastery in Belur, a place on the Ganges, north of Calcutta. He was only 39 years old. In the 10 years that he devoted to teaching, he had influenced thousands of lives around the world. In 1976, celebrating America's bicentennial, Swami Vivekananda was honored by the Smithsonian Institution's National Portrait Gallery. He was declared to be the one who came to America from abroad and had a significant impact on its spiritual development. Founder of the Ramakrishna Math and the Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda not only revived our ancient heritage, but also enlightened and awakened people's religious consciousness and worked for uplifting the downtrodden. He is also credited for raising interfaith awareness, reviving Hinduism, and contributing to the idea of nationalism in India in the 19th century. A simple man, with a profound insight into life, Swami Vivekananda still lives in the hearts and minds of millions of people all over the world. Swami Vivekananda said, "The greatest sin is to think yourself weak." His fantastic quote was, "Strength is life, weakness is death. Expansion is life, contraction is death. Love is life, hatred is death."